What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I did want to touch on another subject here in the Solar Crown demo that I feel like a lot of people are most likely talking about. That is going to be the customization in the game and how there basically isn't that much of it. Now, right off the bat, I have to admit right now, it doesn't honestly bother me that much. I do know a lot of people are probably going to look at this and go, well, Block, like, I can't customize my vehicle. I can't add anything to it. We're just going to have some rims. Now, there is going to be some ratiform rims, which was actually pretty surprising. We're also going to have rims called KMC, and we're also going to have, like, racing rims. The other thing is you really can't color the rims like you could in something like Need for Speed or Motorfest. But here is the biggest thing I realized when playing Test Drive, though. This isn't the kind of game you're most likely going to jump on and be able to put some crazy body kits on your vehicle like you can in Motorfest or Need for Speed Unbound, or I guess you could say the Need for Speed franchise for that matter, which I would almost guess that most players are probably going to jump on this game knowing that you can't actually do that. Quick example here is if you guys are jumping on to Test Drive and you're like, you know what, I can't wait to put a Liberty Walk kit on my Nissan GTR. There is most likely going to be a fairly high chance that you will not be able to do that, and most likely in the future you will also not be able to add that to it. Now, I'm not going to say this is terrible because I'm going to be real honest here. It honestly doesn't bother me that much at all. I did know getting onto this game, it's going to be a different experience. It's not made to pretty much camber out your car, add some like gigantic wing to the, no, add some huge wing to the back of it, and then basically like lower that, put some crazy like ratiforms on it with some really crazy colors. That is just not going to be the type of game that Test Drive is. And I have to say again, it doesn't honestly bother me, but I would guess like legit right now, a lot of players jumping onto the demo are probably going to go, are you serious? All I can do is change my rims, which what I have seen, you can't actually change the main color of the rims. There's going to be like different versions with different colors. You can also go in and change like the interior color of that vehicle and a few other things like the tint of the windows, but there isn't going to be a ton of things you can do to the vehicles themselves. And again, guys, I do feel like a lot of people jumping on this, it is going to bother them. I really can't blame you. If you're used to something like Need for Speed, though, this is going to be drastically different when it comes to the customization. Now, I did say in the title, though, it's going to be good but different, which I do feel like is probably the best way to put it. Like, a lot of players might jump on and like the simplicity of it. They might like the way the cars drive because they are definitely way different than Motorfest and also Need for Speed. I will touch on that in another video as well. But we can all admit right now, though, the overall customization in those games wasn't going to be in this one. Now, the one thing I do want to pop out and say, though, is I'm not saying customization is bad. Do not McTwist it. We all do know having customization is going to be a good thing. That way you can be unique. But the biggest thing about Test Drive is going to come down to the actual driving factors of the game itself. Now, I do understand like customization in Need for Speed pretty much makes that game unique. We can also see some of that cool stuff in Motorfest, but guess what? Need for Speed still does things better than Motorfest in many areas when it comes to customization. I feel like Test Drive is going to be the kind of game, as it was mentioned in that article, it isn't going to be a racing game, it's more of a driving game, to where you really are supposed to feel that vehicle and how it drives on the road itself. We all do know the customization is obviously going to hurt many players on this, and I'm probably going to guess it right now and say maybe people will not get it because of that. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, guys. Is it going to be a deal breaker not having more customization? I just feel like a lot of cars people probably look and go, okay, I'm going to buy this 370Z. I'm going to look at some of the stuff. Wait a second. All I can do is the rims. I can add those rims. I can't change the color on it. I can actually go in and change like the interior color and then basically tint my windows, and that is all. I can't add any body kits to the vehicles. I can't do any of it. And who knows, maybe they may end up adding something like that in the future in Test Drive. Like, we don't know, guys. The game's obviously coming out in September. We could see a crazy upgrade or like a crazy update for that matter coming out next year. Who knows? But I do also know like the roots of Test Drive was never based around insane customization. So I would probably say right now we're most likely not going to see Liberty Walk kits or crazy things like cambered cars and stuff like that in Test Drive Unlimited. And you know, the funny thing about that though is I actually laughed super hard playing Need for Speed Unbound and Need for Speed Heat. Like, for example, jumping onto one of those games, you can legit see somebody having a cambered Koenigsegg. Imagine somebody actually doing that. Also, one of the other things that always made me laugh was like the crazy exhaust tips coming out of the vehicles. Don't get me wrong, guys, I do understand people like that stuff, but imagine seeing that on a Koenigsegg. Now, I know you can't really do that, but some of the Lamborghinis have some funny looking exhaust tips on those games. Like, are people really going to want to customize a car like that in test drive? I mean, probably not. Like, a lot of people get on this game for that feeling of having a different driving experience on this game with how each vehicle basically feels different than the other one, and they're probably not going to be looking at that Lambo going, you know what, I need to camber that thing lower and add some crazy exhaust tips on it, and let's put the biggest wing we can find on it. Now, I do want to say right now, I'm not hating on that because everybody has their own thing that they do like, and hey, if you like customizing a car like that, go for it. Like, I have no judgment on that stuff. In fact, some of that is pretty dope. Everybody has their own build preferences and stuff. I respect that. But I really would like to know what you guys think about the customization in Test Drive Unlimited. Now, I do know, once again, this is obviously going to be a demo, so some things can change with it, but I would also say a lot of players can argue that many things probably won't when it comes to the customization. Again, I don't really hate this. In fact, I don't mind it, and I kind of like the simplicity of it because I know this game isn't focused on it. One of the main differences I would personally like to see, at least I did not notice it so far in the demo, unless I was most likely looking in the wrong place, is to at least be able to change the color of a specific rim. I do understand they have like these same rims a few times with different colors, but being able to at least do that would be pretty dang dope. Do you also agree to a certain extent that having less customization would steer certain players away from it, or is it probably going to bring new players in because they know this game isn't focused on it?